Hello, everybody. Hey, my name is Tom Tankowitz, and I'm a volunteer in the Financial Freedom Ministry at Life Center, and I'm just so glad to be with you all. Um, some of you may know that we have a financial freedom ministry or a biblical stewardship ministry at Life Center. Some of you may not know that, but we do, and it's a great ministry. And we do workshops when we're able to get together, and there isn't a COVID virus keeping us apart and social distancing. But for now, we're going to do some of this stuff online. And so I'm speaking to married couples for Married Monday today. And I appreciate you being here. I'm just grateful to be able to talk to you. I understand the stress that a lot of you are going through. I know that it's different for everyone. Some people are maybe prepared for these times, and maybe you have an essential job, and so your income isn't impacted. And some of you may be on the other end of the spectrum where you're laid off and you've had a total cutoff in your income. And I can just relate and empathize with what kind of stress that brings to you. And I'm so sorry. And I'm in prayer for you. The good news is that God's going to teach you through this, and he's going to bring you through this. And so it's really, I think, important for us to learn as we go through these times, and especially when we may have more time to seek God and to seek his word and seek him in prayer. And so what I'd like to do today, and I'll do this in some of the future messages that we do, is just give you a little snippet or a tip that we use and a teaching that we use that builds on the Financial Freedom Ministry. And so as I'm speaking to married couples today, one of the things that really came to my mind that I know is a tough thing in marriages and is an impediment in marriages is transparency and being in unity. And I find that a lot when I coach married couples. I find that married couples are not on the same page with their money. And it's not your fault. It's really something that we haven't been taught. Maybe our parents didn't teach us this well. Or maybe, it hasn't been taught well in the church. And so I don't know if you know this, but the scriptures talk a lot about money and possessions. The scriptures talk about money and possessions more than they do love, prayer, belief. Almost half of the parables that Jesus taught were about money and possessions. So we can determine from that it's pretty important to God. He gives us a lot of instruction. I think one of the things is that he knew that, and God knows that it can be and would be a stumbling block for us, and just the love of money. And that's a teaching for another day. But what it can do to us in terms of our relationships and how it can create a wedge in marriage. And so one of the scriptures that we talk about, and I'll give you kind of a reason why I'm bringing this scripture up, is in Ecclesiastes. It's chapter 4, and it's verse 9 through 12. And it's a scripture that's used a lot in marriages. And when you're at a marriage ceremony, this scripture is referred to. So I'm sure you've heard it before. But the scripture in the passage, I'll read it here real quick, in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 through 12. Two are better than one because they have a good return for their work. If one falls down, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him. Also, if two lie down together, they can keep warm. But how can one keep warm alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. What a beautiful scripture and description of what marriage is, that two people together are stronger together. And as they stay together and as they're in unity, they can defend each other. They can keep each other warm as they lay down. And then it goes on to talk about a 3-stranded cord, which I believe is a beautiful picture of marriage with Jesus, with a husband and a wife and Jesus together as one. And so the reason this scripture is so important is I call it the discord of the cords, is that so many marriages that I coach in and coach with, I find that there's discord in the marriage because the cords, the strands, aren't wound together. That you may have a husband and wife that have separate checkbooks, and they have separate spending, and that leads to secrets, and one doesn't know what the other one's doing. And of course, it leads to inefficiency in terms of how we manage our money. And then when we come to times like this, there's a panic involved. And so really what I would say is we need to ask the question, God, what are you teaching me through this time? And I think this is one of them, if you're in that position where you're married, but you're really not together as a three-stranded cord with Christ in your finances, is to be transparent, to sit down and talk about these things. I'm sure that's for some of you, you've had to do that because you're in a stressful time where maybe your income has been cut off or has been reduced. And I would say that's good. And that it's a standard to move forward with. And so it's a great learning from that perspective. Read this passage, come together with your wife, your husband, and Jesus as a three-bound cord. Be transparent. Bring all your money together. If you have separate accounts, I always tell people, bring it all together and manage it together. It's so important to do that. And this is such a critical principle that the scriptures teach us. And unity in your marriage will bring unity in your finances and vice versa. It will help your marriage as you do this. So sit down. I would plead with you to sit down together. You maybe already be doing this, and list all of the things that you spend money on. Most people don't even know what they spend their money on. Look at all those things, list them together, and determine what you can eliminate. If you're in a crunch right now, you need to eliminate non-essentials. And so do that, and do that together, and make this a starting point to where you come together and you both talk about it. It's not one spouse that should do this. You should do this together. Maybe one is stronger than the other in terms of finance, but you both should be talking about it. You both should be that three-stranded cord together. And so as we talk next time, I would like to maybe talk a little bit more about the ideas, and I would ask you to email me with ideas that you come up with in terms of saving money. Now, I've heard a lot of them, and I can give some, but I would love to hear you. My email is tomtankowitz, the numeral 1, at gmail.com. So that's Tom, and then TANKIEWICZ, the numeral 1, at gmail.com. Email me with ideas that you have for saving money and that you've come up with. And then also email me if you need help, or if you need coaching, or you need tools for how to manage your money, a budget. I have a budget tool. We have all kinds of tools at Life Center. So I look forward to hearing from you, and I look forward to talking to you next time. We'll talk a little bit about planning next time. I think that this time of crunch that we're going through leads us to think about and to maybe talk about a better way to plan our finances so we're more prepared as these kind of things can occur. So I love you guys, and I'm available for you, and I'll talk to you next time. God bless.